Today, I want to tell you about an Austrian composer by the name of Joseph Haydn. Now, his father was a worker, he was a wheelwright, but he was also a musician for fun. He played the harp as a folk musician. His mother had been a cook until she married, and then she was a housewife. So they didn't have a lot of money, but they recognized Haydn's beautiful singing voice and his talent for music, and they really encouraged it. When Haydn was 6 years old, his beautiful singing voice caught the attention of a distant relative who took him to a nearby town to learn music. And there he learned violin, keyboard, more vocal lessons, ear training, basic theory. When he was 8, he was accepted into the choir school, St. Stephen's School of Vienna. This was one of the top music schools around at the time. He studied and sang there for about 10 years. He got a great solid music education in voice, but also in theory and composition. And then his voice broke and he didn't have that pretty little voice anymore and he was let go. After that, he was homeless. He was struggling to survive in Vienna, but he did all the work he could find. So he would teach music lessons, he would perform wherever he could, and he studied. He studied on his own. He studied composition, everything he could get his hands on, he studied. He gradually built a reputation to be a very skilled musician, and by the time he was 25, he was gainfully employed. He was the Kapellmeister of Count Morzen. This count had a small orchestra, and Haydn started experimenting, of course, performing other people's works, but starting to perform his own works, and he started writing and really understanding how to balance different instruments together. And he worked there until Count Morzen ran out of money. Not to worry, though, because by this point, Haydn has proven himself to be a great musician, a great composer, and other people want him. And so he gets employment with Prince Esterhazy, and then later with his brother, another Prince Esterhazy. Now, at this point, he has everything he needs. He has the stability of a long-term employment, no longer looking for work, but also he now has a full orchestra, full symphony. He has an opera house that he can work in anytime he wants. And so having the stability and the time and all the instrumentation, he's really able to develop himself as an amazing composer. Now, he's working here as Kapellmeister of Eisenstadt. Later, this is known as the Hungarian Versailles. He is removed quite a bit from all the other composers that are going on. Also, his responsibility is pretty crazy. He's responsible to compose all the music and also direct all the music, rehearse all the music for both the symphony, the orchestra, the chamber ensembles, and the opera there. So he is incredibly busy, but also he has the best musicians coming, and he has nothing else to distract him. But because he's so far removed from all the other composers at the time, he's kind of forced to create this own unique blend that is his own thing. This period established him as father of the symphony and father of the string quartet. This shaped the sound of the classical era, both influencing Mozart and later Beethoven. After working for the Esterhazy family for about 30 years, his fame had spread across Europe. He had an invitation from London, and he took it and went to London, and crowds were so excited. He was so famous, and people really wanted to hear his stuff. He went to London 2 times. He actually wrote a symphony called the London Symphony, where you hear the hustle and the bustle of the city and the themes running through there. It's pretty cool. Crazy to think that when he was 17 years old, he was just this homeless guy struggling and trying really hard, because now he is not only very famous, he's also very wealthy. In his later years, he moved back to Vienna and he stayed there. He was teaching, he was composing, he actually even taught Beethoven. Now, they clashed quite a bit, but he still had him under his wing, and he was mostly composing sacred works by this time. Now, I would be amiss to talk about Haydn and not talk about his sense of humor, because boy did he have one. I'm going to talk about his 2 most famous ones. His composition, the Surprise Symphony, where the symphony is just very gently playing, and occasionally there's just this loud boom and crash of a orchestra. This is supposedly to wake up the audience that would just be sleeping while he's going at it. Another one is the Farewell Symphony, and this is where at the end it's like they don't want to say goodbye, and so composers will end one by one at the end of the piece, and they will stand up and snuff out their candle and then leave. And at the end there's only 2 violins left, and apparently this was a protest to let his boss know that this orchestra really needed a vacation, and it worked. He lived quietly in Vienna until he died in 1809. I would say please go listen to some Haydn.